Good morning.
Well, good morning, everyone. So my name is Dale Lutz.
And I'm Don Murray, and we're here to talk about a very exciting release, FME 2019. And this is also significant because this is the first time that Dale and I have done this where we're not at the same location as I'm just about to fly off, and so I'm doing it from a secret hidden spot in an airport.
That way, if anything happens, this broadcast can continue, Don.
That's right.
We can't both be at the same time, same place at the same time. So no, we're both the co-founders of Safe Software. This is not quite the 25th release of FME, but this is we're past the 25th year of us working on this same problem, and it's been an amazing ride. A lot of fun working with you, Don.
Yeah, it's great. Been great working with you too, Dale, and the entire team at Safe. We are so lucky to be able to work with the staff at Safe, our amazing partners, and also our great customers who we often refer to as partners as well.
Yes. So we're off in a few minutes, me in 24 hours, to the kickoff of our FME World Tour, where we're going to go to something like 70 cities around the world. We start off with a big bang, a 5-day-ish FME extravaganza event in Germany.
Yeah, and I'm getting there early to have a few days of R&R, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. So whether you've been using FME for more than 20 years or you're brand new, we hope you're going to enjoy what we have to show you today. It's difficult to do justice to all that is amazing in FME 2019 in just a matter of the 60 minutes or now 57 minutes that we've got. It's an amazing release. Each year, I think, is exponentially better than the year before. And it's because, as has been said before, we're always standing on the shoulders of giants. We're standing on what we've accomplished to that point and taking it to the next level.
Yeah, and I think this is the most significant release. Dale and I have been chatting. We both think this is the most significant release since Workbench was introduced about, I'm going to say, what, 18 years ago?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, should we get at it, Don?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So, well, first of all, when can you get this thing? We like to say we don't release any FME before it's time, kind of like a fine wine. The team is winding down right now. We're still a little bit ahead of when we could nail it completely, but I think the release team wants me to say that within the month. Do you have comfort saying that, Don?
Yeah, I met with the server team yesterday just on my way out and looked at where we're at, and we're in great shape. So, yeah, April for sure, I would say.
But that doesn't mean you have to wait. If you like what you see today, you can grab a release candidate. I know that I'll get Stephanie to check, but by the end of this webinar, safe.com/beta should have the latest that has all the stuff that we're going to be showing. And we're going to do two other kind of minor releases this year. There'll be, I think, every month kind of a roll-up of little fixes and things, and then a couple of bigger bumps you can see there. Each of those will have reactions to the externalities of, if a new ArcGIS comes out and we need to make compatible, or new AutoCAD. So we'll be tracking with all of that as the year unfolds. But Don, looking at this reminds me of another initiative that we're going to be talking about later, where we don't have to wait for.
Yes, exactly. That'll be really exciting when we have the ability for us and ultimately the community to release updates that anybody who uses FME can get at any time.
Yeah, so there's a little spoiler for a little bit later on. So the guiding vision that we really had for the majority of the big initiatives we did this time around was that we wanted to make FME even better for the entire enterprise. It's not just a tool for somebody sitting in the back room in the GIS or CAD department. It really is meant to be an enterprise data integration platform. Of course, it still works great for those folks that are sitting in the back room doing CAD or GIS, and that's it, making those shape files or PDFs, but it can be used for drastically more.
Yeah, and we're starting to see that with more and more organizations deploying FME, not in the GIS department, but across the entire organization, including the GIS or the CAD departments, and that's super exciting. And on the road, on the world tour, you're going to see some success stories too about folks who have used it purely as an enterprise data integration platform.
Yeah, so let's go for it.
That's the best drums I could do today.
There's our exciting splash screen, and those of you on Twitter might have seen my picture in my Tron suit yesterday.
Oh no! just to be fair to Dale, that's not really his body.
No, that was what our Photoshop team did. I don't know, like almost nearly whenever the last Tron movie came out, they did that. Yeah. So anyway, I don't actually have a Tron suit, but it would be fun if I did. And I would try to maybe firm up my body a little bit before I put it on. But anyway, that's our splash screen. We're having some fun with kind of an 80s gaming theme. Really, Don, the 80s were the best, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, they were great movies, you know, great music. And so there's, geez, we're showing our age. And there's our two buddies, the Zipster and the Lizard, having fun racing.
I think this is the first time they're reunited on a splash screen. And I was saying earlier, it's like Sonny and Cher brought together, or even Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin together again after all this time.
Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah. So anyway, we do have a little bit of fun. We like to have fun. We take our work very, very seriously, but we know that if you're working with something all the time, it'll get boring if there isn't a little bit of fun. So we have that with our splash screen always, and our theme for our world tour and so on, because we think it's important. We think that the best work happens when people are having fun. And that's part of what people have said, is that FME is a bit like a game, and how you piece it together to create things is like solving puzzles. And so that kind of burns through all that we do. Yeah.
For sure, if you're having fun doing something, you're going to be more productive than if you're not having fun. And so we strive within SAFE and also to make our products fun. What else have you seen in enterprise integration splash screen that has a picture of a lizard and a Zipster on it?
I think we can.
Yeah, most companies don't even know what a Zipster is.
Yes, the Zipster was around in 2013, and he's back. And,
yeah, that's right.
So, anyway, so we're going to look through now a lot of the different parts of what we've done in FME 2019 and how it makes your experience more productive, more powerful, make you able to solve problems faster and easier than before. And actually, Don, are we getting that arcade game here in the new office?
I would love to get that arcade game. That's a classic 80s arcade game.
Yes. Yeah. So we're going to have some fun with things like that. So the first thing is the visual preview. And this was shown live on stage at the FME UC of 2017.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can see the animated GIF there doing its thing, but let's just try it out for reals.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fire up Workbench here. There we go. And I'm going to go and I'm going to open a recent template that someone gave me that was this Vancouver snow stuff. And so again, there's a little bit of change here on the run button where you can kind of turn off and on different options. I'm going to turn on the feature caching, and I've also turned on the visual preview window. So that's the thing down at the bottom. So with that in mind, I can go up to the feature joiner and I'm going to say, you know what, let's run everything to this point. And I can hit that. And now it's going to run all the stuff up to here. And now I can see the data at that point. Here it comes. So let's zoom that baby right in. There we go. So I can see what's going on. I have lots of control. I can turn off the display control here because I don't really need it. Or if I want to turn off and on different layers, just like the data inspector does. I can turn off the map view if I want to enjoy the table. Actually, if I click on something that just has the table, I only see the table.
Nice.
If I select several things, I'll see all of them, and then I can actually turn them off and on here in this display control. If I don't like the fact that it's following my clicking, then I can go and I can lock it down. I think this is the button here that locks it down. So now, even if I click around, it's not doing anything. And then if I want to see stuff, I got to actually hit the little button there. So
yeah, that is fantastic.
Yep. So
of course you can take that window and you could dock it if you had two monitors and you just like that experience, but you wanted to have more real estate.
I could rip it right off like I'm doing there. Can you see that, Don? Is it ripped right off?
Yeah. I'm always afraid to rip things off like that.
I'm scared about putting it back. That's always
that's right.
To rip it off. Okay, I got it back. Okay, so anyway, that's the visual preview and the partial runs and the changed run button. That affects absolutely everybody. Explore that, try it out, turn it on. We've been working on this for 2 years, and we think it's pretty good, but we'll always be open to feedback.
Yeah.
So this one is around.
I'm sorry, Dale, can you go back there for 1 sec? I just want to Sorry.
Back
Can
to
you talk?
Workbench?
I'm sorry about that. Can you
Yep,
mention the presets thing, or is that coming later?
it is coming. But we can do it
Okay.
now. Let's do it now.
Okay.
Let's look at this one. Here's a buffer. Let's
Yeah.
run to include the buffer. And
Yeah.
there, okay, let's
So
zoom
yeah.
in.
So what Dale did there, and I think that that's what happened there, is super important and it's easy to miss. What Dale did there is he said run to the buffer, but because the workspace had run all the way to the feature joiner, it was only that last step that was run. And for some of us old timers who have been using FME for a long time, and we've always been running from the beginning every time, now we need to break that mindset and now just use the from here and to here. It allows you to iterate very, very quickly. And now if Dale just changed the buffer from, a value, he could just continually run from there. And also when you're hitting databases and web services, as we are more and more, this really makes you more productive, but also puts less stress on your database system and also the web service you're hitting. I mean, I play a lot with web services, and I've actually been denied because they thought I was a denial of service attack because I was just going crazy with FME. So, and it can be tricky to get off those. Sometimes you just have to wait days or weeks. But with this, it's A, you're going to be much faster, and B, you're going to you're not going to be hitting the source systems all the time. So that is a huge thing. So thanks, Dale.
Yeah. Well, and in addition, Don, I don't know if you're aware, but the default behavior of the run button only runs what it needs to now.
I did not know that.
So if I say run workspace, it's going to run the last two pieces here only.
And then if I want to run the whole thing from the beginning, like I would typically do when I'm completely got the whole thing done, just sort of as one clean sweep.
Then you got to go here.
An entire workspace. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it actually lights up and it tells you what it's going to do even.
Yeah, and enabling feature caching with that I mean, that's a killer combination. Of course, one couldn't work without the other.
Yes.
But when you run the entire thing with feature caching, it takes a little bit extra time. But when you're going the step by step, it's only a win.
Yeah. So anyway, about the presets business, if I change this angle to say 22, now you see something. These caches are now what's called stale, which means they don't reflect the reality. But the other thing is that, Don, you might really like this setup. And so we could save this set of parameters as a new preset.
Yes.
I'll call it Don's fave.
22 is actually my favorite number.
Yeah, there you go. And so now if I come down into here, I can see that Don's fave is the current one. If I put in like 44, now I can see that I don't have Don's fave. I could save this as Dale's fave, but I could put back Don's fave just like that. And so there's you can name a whole bunch of them. This is across all the transformers, and it's handy if you are flipping between some common configurations just to save them like that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that one. You might be working with different servers or different databases from time to time, and you just want to quickly flip back and forth or something. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, back to this. So the data inspector gets an animate mode, primarily useful if you're stacking rasters on top of each other. This is a NetCDF climate data, but there's also uses, and we'll get to them later when we talk about one of our new formats, right, Don?
That's right.
Yeah. The dark mode, you've already seen me using that. That is a setting. If you go into I'm on the Mac, but on the Windows side, it's under Tools, Options. Here it's under Preferences. If I say Appearance, I can go to the dark side or the light side. So right now, the dark side is the new toy for us. We kind of like the look of it, but you don't have to use it if you don't feel like it. Okay. Cosmetic things. By default, it will auto size your transformer nodes. So let's go back here. If I type, what is it? Point on raster value extract. That's a pretty big one, isn't it, Don?
Yeah, that is one of the bigger ones. That's right.
Look,
yeah.
There it comes out and all the words are there, as opposed to a nice short guy like the tester. Whoops. So that's the new default, that it will just size to whatever's needed. If you don't like change, and there's many of you that don't, you can go down here in this, again, in the appearance, and you can say, size to a fixed width, truncate the names on which side you want, and then whether or not you want the attributes. And Don, as an XML guy, what do you say?
I go ignore attributes. Sometimes you'll have a really long attribute name, and yeah, so I would do that. Yeah, I'd
Right.
go ignore.
So anyway, these are cosmetic things, but they are important. You work with this all day long. We want you to have a great experience. There's also a concept of color palettes for bookmarks, if you like that, and other things you see there. The presets we covered off. That again, I think a big productivity gain for many of you. That combined with the connections to databases and web services means you aren't entering stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
Format side. Well, the big one here is native Revit. So we've been asked for this for a very long time. So let's try viewing one here. Open recent. Ooh, where's one? Sample project. I'll try that. So we'll give that a spin. Actually, I should have said while that's opening, let's look at, I can show you the parameters here. So you can decide to read everything or only the outside. For lots of GIS people, the outside is all that they care about. And one day we will have the option to read it as 2D just for floor plans. You can read it as surfaces or wireframes here. So here this thing has shown up. You can see the attribute table for the casework, for example, and there's lots of Revit-ish properties in here. We did work hard to align our approach to Revit with ESRI's, what they're doing in ArcGIS Pro. So if you're used to that, this should just be the same vocabulary and come right across. We can turn everything off and on. And Don, is there a particular thing you'd like to look at today?
How about I'm a big guy. I like stairs, so we could look at the stairs.
All right.
And while I was doing that, yeah, we're seeing we've been working on 3D for many years, and you're going to see how things are coming together with that. So we have the native Revit reading, which is really the best Revit reading we've had. It runs natively on Mac, Windows, and Linux. You don't need Revit installed, which is really nice. And we'll be adding the ability for you to extract more things like spaces and floor plans and things like that. So we're pretty excited about that. So, and that's an example of something that likely will be updated in like a .1. We'll add like another selection of stuff from Revit. So.
Yeah. So anyway, there this is. You can flip off and on. You can do all the stuff you'd expect to do. And we will continue working on that. And it's just, I think, going to really shorten workflows for a lot of folks. Of course, if you have existing workflows that use our old IFC or the Revit plugin to dump stuff into a zipped IFC, that all still works, is available to you. But the future is very much this native Revit reading.
Yeah.
Don, you want to say a few things about I3S?
Yes, yeah. So I3S, so Revit reading and some of the other things we're doing are like 3D indoor. I3S is at the global level, so it's like the cesium. Of course, we've done Google Earth forever. I3S is the format that's embraced by ArcGIS and ArcGlobe, and yeah. And so we've been working hard to be able to fully support I3S to move large, massive 3D environments into this format. So what Dale's showing, or what's being shown here, is there's a data set that has all the buildings of the United States, and we just took Hawaii and wrote it out into I3S as a test case. So we're pretty excited about that, and all the sort of terrestrial type 3D formats as well.
Next year we should do this broadcast from Hawaii, Don.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Then we can check
this. Have thought of that.
Okay, DGN meshes. There was some disturbance in the forest that caused all of Scandinavia to be covered in DGN meshes. Kind of seriously, something changed in terms of the tools people use there. So yes, we read them with textures and everything, and so that's a big deal. Not a new format, but a change for folks in that area. This is one that's kind of an experimental one. Don, what would you say about this?
Yeah, so this is a format that's typically produced by MRI machines that scan the human body, or CT machines. And this is just another example of us finding another spatial format and then identifying that FME could provide value. So in the middle, the big one there, that was the original MRI scan shown in the FME, that rolling image mode. And then on the right, the three stacked is we turned it into a point cloud, and of course it's a perfectly regular point cloud, so you can almost think of each point as like a voxel, and then we just sliced it in all 3 dimensions that weren't in the original image. So that's just one thing. And of course we built this format not knowing that actually mining companies use the DICOM format for analyzing core samples to look for seams and things like that, or because then they irradiate it with CT scans to look inside the cores. And so, yeah, so that's just an example of if you build something focusing on one industry, often it has other value in other industries. So that was kind of exciting. But this work is just continuing on, and we're going to be adding other sorts of these inside the body spatial formats, I guess you could call them.
Right. Somebody's asking if that's yours or my brain being shown, Don.
It's neither. Yes. I'm afraid to get my brain scanned.
Yeah. But these are animated GIFs, and actually, Dimitri, there are custom transformers part of FME that can make these kind of things out of a series of images, and so that's what he's been doing there.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's a nice roundup in an 80s font of a few other formats. Topo JSON folks have asked for on the community quite a bit. Yep. So anyway, that's one for web formats. Socrata has a new API, and we've got a format for that that's continuing to evolve. Garmin, the W web coverage service for OGC, we can read that. And I guess that digital...
And the weather markup language. So we always have to have new GML and JSON-based formats because everybody loves XML, and they'd be disappointed if we didn't.
And they're the tops of the 2 columns, Don.
I noticed that, and thanks, Dale.
Yeah, and our own FME AR, we can write an augmented reality format that goes out to our apps for Android and iOS. And we decided we should throw a reader into FME so we can read that back just to make sure we could check things.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, gaming engines. Well, yeah. We added, with the help of cooperation with Epic Games, we can now say, don't just inspect your data, experience it. And so, Don, should I try this out?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
It's a little bit
scary. You're running this natively on the Mac, so just to demonstrate again that this does run, on all the platforms. And this is just an example of how things are coming together, right? Now we can read Revit models. We also write to Unreal. We read 3D terrains. And what Dale's going to show you, you want to focus on the house, but if you see the terrain in the background, that is actual terrain that was also brought in by FME. And of course, FME is the perfect integration engine. And yeah, so now people who use this tool, they can bring in this data, and they have an amazing a number of building blocks, and then they can, of course, take it into the Unreal suite if they want, and make some final tweaks.
So I don't really know how to run this. My father used to say that being good at playing pool was a sign of a wasted childhood, and I think
I love that.
The modern equivalent is being able to navigate a game might be the similar sign. But let's go to walk right through. See, there's a concept in this thing of a collision matrix where if I can't walk through the walls, I have to go through the doors. There we go, and we're inside. Yeah. And it looks like look at that. The World Tour is on TV today, Don.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do need a bit more art in that house, but that's
Right. So this was an IFC model that Dimitri brought in, and then he brought it into the Unreal Studio where you end up adding different elements for the game. And then you can hit a button and export an executable that'll run on, you can export to, I think, 25 different platforms. And it's free to do what we're doing here, give it to your friends. When you want to start charging money, then you got to pay them. But for most of our customers' applications, this will be a free thing. But it might be free like a puppy is free because you have to learn how to use Unreal. You got to put the effort in there. That is not a trivial thing. But if this what turns your crank, it's effort well spent.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
And actually, this default one would have let Dawn join me and wander around in here. We can see each other inside the game. That's the default game that you can use.
Yep, the realism is amazing. I mean, you didn't spend much time outside, but you could see the trees even blowing in the wind, which is pretty amazing.
There we go. Look, I can go backwards. I figured that out.
Yeah. Whoa.
Can you see the trees? Can the folks at home see the trees blowing a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
And I think if I hit escape, I can get out of this thing. My fan is blowing.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. All right, good. So that's that for some set of people is going to be pretty interesting for sure. So yeah, experience your data in a game. I was saying you could make a whole corridor where you hang pictures of your business charts along the side, and then give those to your business analysts so they can wander around inside a game to see their data. That's probably a little bit crazy, but hey, it can be done.
Yep, I'm sure it'll happen.
Decompression, that was where the Zipster actually came from, was helping
Yeah.
us decompress things. That's his slogan from 2013. And now we can unzip and read all these different things.
And he's more powerful than ever.
Yeah. So my joke is that we should have had Katy Perry headlining for us so we could hear our data roar.
I like
Don,
it.
you laugh every time I say that. I do appreciate that. Okay. Performance. We try hard to make FME always handle bigger data volumes. All of our customers, all of you are making ever larger data sets. You're using ever larger inputs, and we want to keep pace with that. So for those that don't know, in 2009, we used a speedometer as a splash screen. So we brought it back 10 years later just for fun for a while. But that was where that came from. And here, Don, what are we cheering for?
The lower the better. So we're going to definitely, for our next release, we're going to have to forget about 2018 and change our scale or go logarithmic or something. Yeah, it's crazy how much faster it is for some things.
Yeah, and you know what? I will actually just go and quickly show something. So I'm going to start up FME 2018, and I'm going to get something running. All right, so here comes FME 2018, and let's see. I'm going to open a recent template that's called a dissolve subset. Sure, I'm not afraid. I'm just going to start this thing running. It's dissolving an interesting polygon. So it's going. And so we'll let it go actually while we get FME 2019. Let's just cancel this. Let's get the same thing going here. All right, no. And let's run it. How's the other guy doing? He's still going.
I think he's just humming right along.
Okay, let's go. We get this guy going. Okay. And whoa, it's done, Don.
Wow, that is crazy. And you were feature caching in both, I noticed. So that's,
yes.
That's just crazy how fast it is now. The other guy, well, we don't need to wait for him. We can check him back later.
Yeah. So anyway, if you dissolve stuff, so 3.7 seconds, and it's at least, oh, there it finished.
Okay.
So this particular one was 10 times faster.
Yeah.
The team tells us it's between 2 and 76 times faster.
Wow.
Yeah. There we go. So yeah, you can see here some of the different timings. If you go by the book, hours could turn into minutes. That's a Star Trek Wrath of Khan reference. Okay. And so also the ever popular Shapefile, we've rewritten it from scratch, and I've got an example here. Let me just get that thing fired up. So if I go, let's see. There, this guy. This is an example of, I'm going to run this whole thing. I may not let it finish, but you can see that this is the old Shapefile. This is actually FME 2019 running a workspace that was made in FME 2018.1, and it's reading away. It's clicking right along. I mean, I'm also feature
fast. Yeah. You've written 250,000, 300,000 features. Yeah,
it's going to go to like 500,000, and then this second one is a SQLite database, and we're going to join that. I'll actually let this finish.
Okay.
There. Okay, and
okay,
and I think it's done. Is it?
I don't know.
Boom. Yeah. So 39 seconds. Now, if I want to, I can right-click, and you can do this on any reader you want ever. I can right-click and say Update the reader. And I'm going to, instead of ESRI Shapefile, I'm going to go to the Tech Preview version, which is the all-new, faster one. And I'll say just update the reader. And boom, it's updated. And so now I'm going to cause this thing to rerun the entire workspace. And let's see. I think it's been fast. Did you notice that was a bit faster there, Don?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a lot faster.
Yeah. So you get the sense, this is this new bulk mode. Lots of different transformers have also had the treatment. So if you are one of the half of our customers that reads shapefiles all the time, give the new tech preview reader a try. Our goal is that it becomes the default in FME 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you do find anything that doesn't work, that used to work, please let us know. So we could we can fix the new shape reader. There's so many slight variations on shape that we may find some files that need us to update our reader. So yeah,
we've tried pretty hard. We've collected probably the worst. Somebody said that once we were kind of like a juvenile delinquent house for data here at SAFE, but we've got the worst ever shape files, the meanest of the mean, the baddest of the bad. But again, you probably have worse.
Yeah.
All right, machine learning. We've got a few transformers that can do some stuff there, like finding stop signs, doing natural language processing.
Yeah.
And you can train it to find faces. And so there's our experts team from a few years ago and Halloween, I think. But anyway, these things are there for people to experiment with. We've had really good success with stop sign detection.
Yeah.
Fire hydrant detection is a little bit tricky. In all these cases, you got to train first, get a whole bunch of data that's a sample that has what you want, and then it goes away, and then you can apply the model.
Yeah, really the effort for anybody who wants to use these is finding and training these things. They take a lot of data to train, and that's just because the algorithm itself is looking at all the positives you gave it and all the negatives you gave it, and learning what is the object you're actually looking for. So it's once you get it trained, it actually does an amazing job. But if you think you're going to train it on just like 100 images, you're wrong. So that's where FME again as a data pipe can really help you train. If you have lots of training data sets around, you can really get FME and pump them into it. But the training is where the effort is for sure.
Yeah. Transformer updates. The tester is less clickalicious. When you use it, it just should seem natural. We've got a logic thing in here where you can put your brackets and ands and ors and things. And we think it's more streamlined. I know there's some folks that prefer the classic way, but you definitely do a lot less clicking in this thing. Yeah. Many people are asking, what about the change detector? Mark Ireland did a blog on the all-new change detector. Maybe I'll ask Stephanie to hunt that down and chat that out if anybody's interested in the details here. Somebody asked, is the matcher change detector any faster? I think it is because of the rewrite, but I don't actually know that. But it can detect updates as well as just changes. That's all worked into the same thing. And Don, you want to talk us through walking the dog?
Yeah, and that picture on the right there is, you can imagine you're walking your dog, you're on the red line, and your leash is of length F. And if anybody who has a dog knows they tend to want to sniff everything on both sides of your trail. And so now if you had those two line strings and you said, okay, the maximum length of deviation from, or leash length, I'll call it, is F, they would match. And so, and because often you're trying to look for changes and they're not exactly the same, but so you need some tolerance. And so that's really what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Those of you that use ESRI products, there's about half of you. We have managed to make a deal with ESRI, work closely with them, and the ESRI Reprojection engine is included in all FMEs, whether or not you have ArcGIS installed. So thanks to our friends at ESRI for working with us on that. It's also faster than it was before, and it's very, very powerful. It's a very high quality coordinate conversion engine, and for those that have standardized on the ESRI technology, this is the one to use for sure. And so we're pretty happy to be doing that. For the open source folks out there, we are part of that Google barn raising, as is ESRI actually, which is funding a lot of improvements in the open source side around coordinate systems. And we will be including the result of that, the so-called Proj 6, will appear in a future FME in the next year for sure.
Yeah, and this ESRI Reprojector, this runs on all the platforms again. So it runs on Mac, Linux, and Windows.
Yeah. So you can just kind of look at that. All of our group buys got an overhaul. We think that that's a little more straightforward. If you know your data is ordered by group, you can give a speed improvement by telling it that. Actually, I'll just throw one down here. Like, is the buffer one of these kind of guys? Yes. Isn't it? No, I guess I'm wrong. I thought that the buffer had a group by, but maybe I'm wrong, Don.
That's okay. Yeah, this is a huge change for clients who are using FME in a high-speed data streaming mode, where in server an engine comes up and it locks on one workspace and is continually reading something like a Kafka stream or a JMS stream. You know, you might be having a million features a minute, and so the ability for every work transformer to flush when a particular field changes is really key. Before, we had to be careful which transformers we used, because if you had one that was waiting until all the data arrived, the workspace would effectively just appear to have stopped. So yeah, we're pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, so we'll get off past that. And the packages are this idea that we can give you new functionality without you having to install new FMEs. And so all of our connector transformers that reach out to web services are going to start being delivered in this way. And that allows us to react to API changes without bothering you. It also allows us to say things like this, that Kafka is coming soon, because when you install FME 2019, one day you'll type Kafka and whoosh, it'll just be there and be part of your FME.
Yeah, and this is just the beginning of the new hub. The cloud teams worked hard to reimagine that, and so it's a lot of new capabilities are coming. You'll see one more with server for this release, but ultimately this is how we're going to release things. And the exciting thing about the hub and packages now is they can have Python within them as well, so they're not strictly just transformers. And ultimately, you know, within the next year, I would guess you will release this to the community, so now the community can also create these wonderful plugins for FME. So, and then everybody can start to build on top of the platform.
I'm also excited, Don. I had a demo of the Trello connector yesterday. You're going to be able to create lists for people, putting maps in there even.
Yeah. So is all this source code for these connectors? What's the plan on that, Dale? Who will
We're going to open source all of it so that people can change it if they want to and contribute back to us. So these connectors that's the long-term goal, even medium-term goal, that there'll be a workflow for people to make tweaks and contribute back to us as well if they want to. Okay, Don, let's take it away on server. It gets its own arcade game too.
Yeah, how about that? So so when we talk about the FME platform, we talk about connect, transform, and automate. And server has always been the automate. So and you're going to see in 2019 that we have taken automate to a brand new level. And with that,
So again, that's all about FME for the enterprise. We know that
that's right.
Enterprises have lots of data to move. So what are these things, Don?
So we're happy to release a new event-based workflow, which this is probably the worst kept secret since Christmas at my house. And about automations. We had a webinar earlier where we were talking about things, and all the questions were actually about automation. So an early version of this was shown. So so this really makes it easy. And so we're going to demo this in a few minutes, I think, just to show you how easy it is. Yeah. And there's only two concepts you have to remember, which is really nice. You have to remember a thing called triggers, which causes the automation to start. Well, not to start, but to invoke and or be executed. And then there's these actions, and that's it. And that's basically what happens when one of these triggers fires. Yeah. Okay. And this is just a sample. There's many triggers, and we are adding more all the time based on user requests. So you can see, you can watch for data. The scheduling will be, and is always sort of the poster child of what people want to do. Data arriving by email. We have this new concept of system events, which we'll talk about later. And if you need some sort of web URL or web hook, you can use an FME server topic to start it as well. Yeah, and actions. There's we have two types of actions: internal actions, that with the classic being running a workspace. And then, of course, you need to do other things as data flows through, these messages flow through. So filtering messages, logging them, will show a merge. And then, of course, all the external events. And again, there's many of them, and this is just a sample of some of them that we have. So yeah, and that's it. That's all you need to know about automations.
It's funny, Don. I see one customer asks, "Is this replacing the notifications garbage?"
Garbage. It should be rubbish. No, this is actually built on top of the notifications, but your question is a good one in the sense that once you see automations, you would never go down to the low level and use those things. And the only one I can say you would do is you would create a topic in order to use that to trigger an automation, but that would be the only thing. But this whole framework is built on top of notifications, just like Workbench is built on top of the old mapping files we used to have. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So how do these things work, Don?
Well, it's really easy. Every single one has the same pattern. It's like when this happens, then do this. So when a trigger occurs, then perform an action, and that's it. And this pattern is just over and over and over again in all the workflows we've analyzed. So yeah.
So in the arcade game, when you hit the trigger, the laser gun fires.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah. And yeah, so here's the simplest one: schedule and just running one workspace, and that's as simple as it gets. And I think we're going to do a demo here. And here's another one. Yeah, schedule to email. And you notice that you don't have to have a workspace in the middle, right? We made the decision, like, why do we have to have a workspace in the middle? What if somebody wants to use FME Server just to trigger other things? So that's what we did.
Yep.
And yep. Okay. I think you ready to build one?
I'm a little scared here. Yesterday, Don sprang this on me without me knowing, and today I should have known better. But
yeah, I'm off site, and so I don't have my mouse. I'm sitting in a nice, comfortable chair, and I just don't want to do the demo. So I Slack Dale my password. I apologize to our security guy, and I will sign.
Actually, that's the most
let's
stressful
create
part.
one, Dale. So click on automations. You can see it on the left there.
Should we build one?
Yep, let's build it. Yep, build. And yep. And so I go under menu and turn on, and yeah. When you fire it up for the first time, you're going to be in this enable guided mode, but once you've used it like 2 or 3 times, you just turn that off. So this is what it looks like to start. So it's pretty clear that you have to configure your trigger. So let's just do a schedule. Yeah. And let's do it once a day. And let's start at,
I'm starting tomorrow.
That's good, sure.
Okay.
Apply. And now let's run a workspace. You just click in there and run a workspace and pick orchestration as your repository. Because we're not really, just pick the first one's good enough. Yeah, we're just picking ones just to show the concept. So we're not even worried about what we're running here because yeah, and apply. And now you can start that. And this yeah. And what this does is this, oh yeah, you got to give it a name. Yeah. What this does is this builds the automation, and underneath now everything's hooked together, and it's actually running. But of course, we'd have to wait until tomorrow sometime. But what we've added to schedules now inside automations, but also our old traditional schedules, is this ability to trigger them at any time. And this is useful for testing, but also you might come in the morning and find out that, oh man, that job that was supposed to run didn't run because my database was down or something. And so in the past, you had to go edit the schedule, and it was a bit of horsing around. Now you can just go in here and trigger, and it will run, and then we'll show the other one too. So have you clicked it?
No.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so now under the menu, Dale can see the triggered jobs. Yeah, you can click the log file too if you want. Sure. So here's the triggered jobs, and you can see that was the job that just released. So you don't have to go hunting through the job log. Of course, you'll find it in there. But and something else, can you just click on the upper right there? There's a little, sorry, right, your other right. Yep, down with the first square box with a pencil. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we kept getting requests for all these columns people wanted in the job log, so the GUI became ugly. So somebody at SAFE decided, why don't we just make them customizable, so then everybody can have as much or as little as they want. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So now you added engine over there, and yeah. So there we go. Yeah. Oh, good. And so now if you click back to release 1, whoops. There's also the logs of the if you just go view log file, sorry. now you can actually see the log file of the automation. So again, if you want to see what's going on or things, you don't have to go looking in FME server log files. You can see it all right there. So yeah, and that's yeah, congratulations, Dale. And literally, Dale yesterday had never used automations. As you can tell, he didn't even have an account on that. Well, he does have an account on that machine, but he doesn't know what the password is.
It's very secure.
Yeah, it's very secure. Yeah. So yeah. So good. Yeah. So the next thing is this whole idea of, okay, you can run one thing, but what if I have, you know, I want to run many workspaces one after the other, and I want to run them in a particular order. In the past, this was very difficult, and you might have tried to use notifications for this, or some folks tried to have multiple schedules where one schedule would finish and then another one would trigger, but then the first job took too long and it wasn't finished. So lots of hairy stuff started to happen. So this is another automation. So if you just step through the slides, you can see what's going on here. Yeah, and if you have a server with multiple engines, then these two streams will truly run in parallel. So you can see those in this little example. You know, I have one called load rivers and load counties, and those would actually run in parallel. So if you're loading a large amount of data into a database, now you truly can have a very easy way of loading many things in parallel. And if you have your server spread across many machines, now you can really get a lot of CPU and horsepower going at the same time. So they truly are parallel. Of course, if you only have one engine, the underlying framework will simulate this so that everything will happen in the right order. So logically, you can always think that you have these truly parallel streams going. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, within any stream, if you want to run one workspace after another, we guarantee that the 3S load county will happen before the build states one happens in this example. Yeah. Yeah, and then next, of course, sometimes you have multiple streams. You want to bring everything together, so you can wait. This is a wait point, and it doesn't matter how many parallel streams you have, they'll all come together. And once all those parallel streams have finished, then everything downstream from the merge would go. And of course, after the merge, you could branch into many more parallel streams as well. And yes, you could have parallel streams within parallel streams, because you might have a parallel stream, and in the middle of that, you want to merge two streams and then go out. So you can get as complicated as you want. And of course, when the merge is finished, then there's a final step that would just run the workspace. So yeah, so we think this is really going to result in people building more componentized workspaces, and then you can, you know, if you have a really large workspace that has multiple logical steps in the workspace, now you have the option of doing them in smaller chunks and then being able to see exactly what things fail and things like that. Yeah. So Dale, I think you should build this.
Okay. So let's go back to build.
Okay.
How do I make a new one, Don?
Yep.
New.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
So
we'll do a schedule again. Oh, why don't we? No, let's do this last. Let's go. We're running short on time. Let's go to system events. We'll build the complicated one based on a system event. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about system events.
Yeah, so system events, nobody gets up in the morning and says, gee, I really wish and hope that I get to look through FME server log files. And so what we did with system events is we said, well, with FME server, it's more and more enterprise. Let's have FME server tell users of significant things that are going on. So you can see some of them there. The security one is interesting. We had a client who said they wanted to know when a new user was created with admin privileges. And so obviously a very secure environment, and that's a significant thing when somebody is given admin privileges to their server. So they were able to, so we created a system event for that. System info, maybe you have a temporary license, it'll start telling you a few weeks before your license is going to expire, so you have time to react. And then any system warnings or errors that happen internally to FME server, it'll tell you. Server status, in the cloud, sometimes we have clients who have a big workspace that is run when a server started. So their whole workflow is whenever they need to do something, they bring up a server, this massive job runs for, maybe hours or days, and then it shuts down. Well, in the past, they didn't know when the server was ready. So they would typically wait 5 minutes and try, maybe wait 10 minutes. But now there's a system event that says, hey, this server is ready to go. And it can have a system event that'll fire to trigger that job. and then you could have that job run, and then in automations, then you could have another workspace that simply shuts that server down. And then of course, server activity, again, often organizations have nice audit trails. They have FME server in production doing serious stuff. They want to know when certain workspaces are updated and who, because if something goes wrong, then they know what's changed and they can roll it back. And with FME servers versioning, which we released last in 2018, then they could easily go and roll back those workspaces that were changed and get back to the current state. So it's all about increasing the visibility of what is going on with FME server.
So
yeah.
Should we do a quick little demo about the...
Yeah, so let's use your trigger. Let's use a trigger for a system event, and that's why I gave you the admin password, because if you're just a regular author, you wouldn't be able to do this. So let's look for system event. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And we'll go with a new user created. So we'll go when a new user is created.
Oh, user, how do I, is it user create? There it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, and that's it. You just say apply.
Boom.
Yep. And now let's create now let's add a workspace here. Or we'll just use the orchestration ones because again, it doesn't really matter what we do. So yeah, and yep. And so pick the first one. That's good. Yep. And say apply. I made this easy so there's, and so this is usually, now I've done this so many times, I turn off that, but because I want, this would actually, we want to run one, but we don't want it connected there, if you know what I mean. But that's okay. Yeah. We can disconnect it and pick the three. Yep. Because you want this one to be run in parallel with the one.
So now I could turn off these guides if they're bothering me, but I don't know they are. I can go out here and drag out. This is a workspace here. Drag that guy out. And whoops. Yeah, I can grab him. So there we go. Actually, I will turn off the guided mode.
Yeah, you see, once you figure it out, then you're like, I don't like all these things all over the place. So make this one the 5, say. Yeah.
Orchestration, run the 5. Yeah. And then I gotta merge.
Now drag a merge tool down. Now just go, an action, and just select merge tool. Yeah. And now connect the output of those two guys to the merge. Yeah. Yeah, and and one more guy. Now you just need one more workspace. You need one more action dragged out there, and this will be your final step. You can call it. Yeah. Yeah.
And final.
Yeah, there we go. Sure, final combine, final stage, whatever. There you go.
Good.
And now you start it.
Okay.
Yep.
Running.
And now go and create yourself a new user. Go under security.
So to everybody, if I go here and say view triggered jobs, there aren't any because we've never created any users yet. All right. So I'm going to go.
Yeah, that's a good one. But now if you view the log file, you'll see all the stuff that happened under the covers when you enabled it.
Yeah.
There's a bit more going on here.
Notifications and so on, linking that all up. So now I can go at security, Don.
Yep. Users and create a new user.
Okay, I'm going to add Zipster here.
Okay. Yeah. Zippy or whatever, Zipster. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Here we go. I've been working on this all night.
Give him a, you don't need to do that if you don't want to, but you can. And under the just give him just give him permission of some kind. Okay.
Oh, that's lousy.
Yeah, you can't have your username in your. This is the hardest part of the whole demo for Dale.
I got to remember what I typed there. Okay, so I'm going to make you an author.
The author's good, sure. And now just say, okay. Yep.
Oh, phew, I got those passwords right.
Yeah, excellent. So now if you go back to your automation and the manage, so now we'll see the manage view. Yep. So now if you go in there and you say view trigger jobs, you'll see that all those jobs ran, and you'll see the order, like 1 and 3 started and 3 was longer. So then the build states happened after that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the final combine happened. Then. Yeah. So, yeah.
There it is. It worked.
Absolutely. So, good. So that's that. So that's automations. That's as easy as it is. So it's quite a step up. Yeah.
We like to say with automation, there's only two things in automation. So you can't even say automations is as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's only as easy as 1, 2.
That's right. Yeah. So the other thing was FME server projects. We've had those again for a number of releases now. And now they really are like solutions that people build on FME server, and now they're supported on the hub. So you can easily move them to the hub and then also put them back. Yeah. And security, every release we get a security audit by an external firm to make sure that FME is more secure with each release. And on the next slide, you see one of the things we did, which stumped Dale from time to time, is the whole ability to specify a password policy. So you can set minimum length and other things like that. So, yeah.
I have to just say that Linda suggested a password I should use. And ironically, that was the password I was trying to use, which was Zipster _2. Linda had it at 3 on the end, but I couldn't because it says I can't have the username in the password.
Yeah.
So then I was stumped because I had practiced last night with Zipster as my password, not realizing it was going to thwart me.
And then you got the brainy idea to have the username be the same.
Yeah. So Linda, you and I are thinking the same way, but we were ultimately defeated. But we got past it. Okay. Okay, yes. We got 3 minutes to cover this last important concept.
Yes, and this is an easy one too. This is the ability of sharing a workspace for people to run so that they can, without having to do some trickery with security accounts. And so now the idea is we want to make it so that you can easily share a workspace either with an application that's going to invoke it or with users without them having any access to FME server other than being able to run this workspace. So yeah, so that's
So what we've done, we've created, they're not released yet, but there's mobile apps for Android and iOS that let you connect to an FME server for the purpose of running workspaces. And there's 2 ways you can do this. One is you give people authentication, they can log in and run. The other one is going to be with this workspace app business where you just give them a URL with a token. And so anyway, there's the 2 screenshots of Dimitri's little app that lets you pick fire hydrant, a picture with a fire hydrant and one without, and then upload that with a location, and that's to help train his fire hydrant picker or detector. And so to give a sense here, we'll just run the little movie. I don't know how this will show up for the folks at home, but this is, you can add an app or you connect to a repository. So you go in there, you navigate your repositories, you find the workspace you want, and then you run it, and either you send information up to server to like pictures and things, or you're giving it parameters, and then it streams back the answer in any of the FME formats, and then you can get the answer back and show it in whatever the native app is. So if it's HTML or an image or whatever, it just comes back. So
yeah, and that's quite the app you showed there, Dale. In the middle, I don't know if people noticed, but it switched from one platform to the other. So that's pretty powerful.
Exactly. We lead with iOS and finish up with Android. So that's that. If anybody's interested in that, message us here on the Q&A and we'll get you in on our beta testing. But we think that's going to allow many more people in the enterprise to make use of the data crunching capabilities of FME server. Yep. So, whoops, here we go. There we go. The other thing is that you can make web apps out of workspaces as well. And we're hitting overtime, Don, but should we quickly do that? Is there one we can do?
Just pick any old workspace. So yeah, just go to repositories there and pick orchestration. That's good as any. Sure. Oh no, let's pick yeah, it doesn't matter. We can show. Yeah, just pick one. And then of course we have the run button, but if Dale goes under advanced and he says, I want to share this workspace, so he clicks there.
Yes.
And yeah, you can specify the name or whatever. It defaults for a year. You can change the time. And then if he clicks OK, now there's 2 URLs. One of them is the actual app. So it'll actually bring up a web page where you can specify parameters and click OK. Yeah, this one doesn't have any
parameters, so it's kind of boring.
Whereas in the other one, we'll just execute the URL. So
And
and again,
making a microservice basically.
that's right. So for example, I was playing around with Prometheus and wanted FME Server to, I created a workspace that could feed metrics to Prometheus. And so I just wanted a web service URL that would execute and stream back the data. It didn't want an OK button. And so we've handled both those cases. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. There's I think a lot of potential and possibility in here for FME Server customers. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, can you just go back there? One thing we missed, one really important part. Just
Okay.
click on the user. Just click on the user head in the upper right there. Yeah, and manage tokens. And this is important, of course, because when you give these things, you can now control the token and revoke them and give them more time or pause them or whatever you want. So for each one of those apps you create, there's a token. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So actually, yeah, if we will, when we in overtime here, we'll do something with that because we had some fun with this yesterday. We can show folks. Okay. So, Kubernetes, Don, just a couple words on that.
Yeah, so for FME Server, now you can deploy FME Server across a Kubernetes cluster. We have some large clients who are doing that. And this is the cloud team working very closely with the server team to make this a full-blown citizen. And it is, there's a blog article you can read. And this is also lays the foundation for next generation of cloud deployments of FME Server. So we're pretty excited about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up on server, the three key things we did show: automation, system events, and apps. And then there's a handful here. Don, do you want to just talk quickly about some of these?
Sure. Job log filtering is something users have asked for a while, and this release we've really stepped it up and done an amazing job. Let us know what more you want. Token management, we saw a little bit of that with FME Server apps, but of course you can create a token from scratch and really drill down and give it the permission sets you want. FME Server projects on Hub, we talked about that. Dale saw the password security rules and was confounded a little bit on those. And then user preferences. Yeah, now when you specify user preferences in FME Server, they're actually stored on the server. So if you go to a different browser, you're gonna get that. It's not stored just locally on the browser.
So that kind of is the end of our whirlwind tour of the highlights of FME 2019. There's, of course, way more in there that we weren't able to show today. And the team has done all kinds of work in the deep corners that we hope will just make your experience better. It'll make you able to use the latest technologies that are in your enterprise. They'll make you more productive. It'll be faster. We're trying hard on many fronts, but as a whole, we're very proud of what the team has created and super excited to reveal this to you today. Yeah,
exactly. And please do check out the world tour. We're going to like 75-ish cities, probably more, around the world. If you're in Germany, Dale and I will be there next week. It's at the FME Day, so we invite you to come there. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have a day of just talking about FME and showing you, and our users show you the crazy and fun things they're doing with FME to bring data under control.
Yes, yeah. So come and join us. The schedule is online there, and you can sign up for that. So I just want to thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you for some of you for your long-time support for more than 20 years. Others of you may be brand new. Welcome to the community. But thanks for being along on the ride with us. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of problem solving. And we know that we're never done, and we have more to do. And so thanks for being part of the journey.
Yeah, and please do keep us up to date on your data challenges and what we can do to make FME better. FME definitely is a journey for us, and it's never done. We're always looking for new data challenges, so we are always happy to hear from you.
Yes. And so with that, we'll wrap it up. Now, we're going to hang around a little bit and kind of talk through some of the questions that have been pouring through. But if folks at home need to go off, please do. There's nothing too shocking going to happen after this, but we are going to kind of discuss some of the questions. Actually, Don, I want to play around with that server apps a little bit to let everybody try something, and we'll see what happens there. And
yep.
But anyway, thanks everybody. But now we're into the overtime portion. And let's have some fun. So the first thing is, Don, if I just turn this thing back on, will that re-enable this If I want to
Yes,
re-enable this guy.
yes, that's right. Yesterday we turned one off. So if you re-enabled them, then the workspaces there would be able to be shared again. That's right.
So how do I, if I get here, how do I get the links again?
They're not in there. Yeah,
Okay.
but I remember which ones they were. So because it's assumed that you gave these workspaces to the app, so the person would know what app they were running.
Right.
But that's an interesting question. Yeah, to have somewhere a list of all the permissions that were part of this one. But anyway.
So would I have to go and make it again? Like,
Nope. If you go run workspace, it was. I know which one it was.
Ah, okay. If I go back to the run workspace. So,
So the repositories, you can do it that way. And it was the site selection one.
Yes, this one.
That's right. So
so if I go in here and
now you're creating a new one. Ah, yes. Because we lost the URL. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll go make a new one. Nothing bad should happen, right?
Nope. You'll just have a new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I give folks this URL, everybody everywhere should be able to run this. We're going to put a little load on this server maybe. So I'm going to chat it out to everybody. Yeah. Boom. Bang. And now if people everywhere start hitting that, what's going to happen? Okay.
It should just work.
We'll just try opening the link in a new window. We're maybe pounding that server a bit hard now, Don.
Yep. Yeah, it has 10 engines. Yeah. I clicked it too, just to add even more load.
So anyway, all of you should be able to run this thing. And this is why one of the things we're planning for the future is an elastic FME server.
That's right. Yeah.
Because we might have several hundred people running this thing. There we go.
Yep.
And I got to select tour. This is something we're going to be showing in World Tour. And then somewhere here, I must be able to say run. Did you get to run yours, Don?
Yeah, mine's running too. Yeah, mine's done. So there we go. It'll be interesting to look at the job log and see how many people actually ran it. So that's pretty cool.
Okay, mine finished too. So how do can I see in the job log?
Yeah, you could see all the completed jobs. You could see the queue. Well, there's no queued right now. So then you could see all, people were, you could see when you told everybody to run it. So it looks like there was hundreds of them at exactly the same time.
Well, it all hung in there. So
yeah,
there were. Well, that's a good sign.
We didn't allocate a particularly big server. We didn't anticipate, hundreds of, simultaneous requests, but hey, it all works. Yeah.
Yes. So now, let's just see. Hey, Don, did anything change in the viewing of the schedules? Can you sort by different columns yet? No, you can't, I guess.
Schedules. Yeah. I can't remember. We've done so much. So
that was what one person asked if they could. So we'll note that for the team. If they could sort by start time or end time, that seems like an easy.
Sort by name. Yeah. I think
sorting by columns is a good one.
Yeah. So that's the type of feedback we love, right? So you can filter by categories now. So that's what you can do with schedules. We've had customers that have had 12,000 schedules, and they wanted a way of being able to filter by category. See the category at the top there? So you can pick a category now, and if you picked World Tour, for example, or utilities, you can now restrict or only see those ones. So and then of course you can sort by name within there. But so let us know what else people would like to sort by. Yeah. The job logs, you can do a lot though. When you look at the job log filtering, it's really powerful.
Yeah. So let's just quickly look at some of these other questions here. Yeah, sorting columns people would like. Searching, actually being able to kind of filter that list probably would be good in the schedule side. Let's see. There was some that I saw. People are asking, is there going to be recording? Yes, there'll be a recording. Is there anything equivalent to Unreal? Sorry, for Unity. Right now, there's not. Unity doesn't have the same kind of APIs, but anyway. So we'll see what we can do there. More people wanting to see schedule management. Thanks, Esco, for the comments there. So yeah, they're pounding us with scheduling enhancements, Don.
Yeah. No, schedules are big, and they, we would have liked to give more time, but that's something that perhaps we can squeeze some of them in .1, right? Like these nice little tweaks that isn't ground shaking, but it has great impact for. Oh, one thing users can do in schedule. So I'm glad you brought that up. So if you click on your building updates remover under schedules there on your world tour, now you can trigger a schedule right from in there. And the thing about, you didn't have to go back. Just select it, and then you can see the trigger in the upper right. So again, if you had a schedule, and the thing is, you can also trigger a schedule that is disabled. So some users have asked for this. You have the ability, you have a schedule. It's basically, you're using it. It's got all the parameters you need, and it's something you want to run, but on an ad hoc basis. And so each time you run this workspace, you don't want to have to go in and specify all these parameters. You just want to specify them once. And now in 2019, you can trigger schedules that are even disabled. So
yeah. Hey, somebody asked if there's a transitioning to 2019 training class. There isn't really a training class, but there is a webinar coming up on, there's a couple of them on basically that kind of thing. So there's one on authoring with FME 2019. Stephanie, what's the date for that? Is it scheduled? Are they actually on our website?
They are on our website that people can go to. I'll chat out the links.
Yeah, so
the first one's on April 24th. That's authoring with FME 2019, and then automating with FME 2019 is May 30th.
Right, so there's the authoring one, and then automating. So there's a couple of these webinars that will dig into more of the details. Some folks are asking about reprojection engines. So FME traditionally has used the same one as Autodesk and Bentley, one called CS Map. And you can now use the ESRI one. And that way you can, if it's important to be absolutely using the same one, you can do that. So that's the deal there. Somebody said that they were trying to clip a 2.1 gigabyte GeoJSON file, Don. I know that you're a big GeoJSON guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, when it comes to, and we put effort in on 2019, like I know we talked about the really huge performance things, but our XML and our JSON parsing is significantly faster, both reading and writing as well. The XML and JSON team have worked hard at that. And it's kind of interesting, even just yesterday, I ended up going through their status report, and they made something 10% faster, and you keep doing that. And then, by release after release, things get significantly faster. So we have an amazing team who just takes pride in what they do, and they're good Boy Scouts. If they're in code somewhere and they see a way to make it better, they just spend the time and do it, which is, yeah.
So this is kind of a bogus example, but the customer, I think, ran out of memory because they wanted to clip that thing. And so let's pretend that this one was the GeoJSON, and that was the clippies, and this roads thing, or this shapefile was the clipper. If you are doing this, if you can, put the clipper first. So in this case right now, the roads was first, but I can switch this up and down because I can say move it down or move it up. So you want to move the reader that is your clipper to be the top, and then you know that the clippers come in first, and then you can go into here and say, there's something where you can say clippers come first. Clippers first. Okay. See that, Don?
Yep. That's awesome.
And then that 2.1 gigabyte GeoJSON would come through and flow through and be written out. So it's very important with clipping to try to get the clippers in there first so that the rest of the data can flow. And that's kind of a general FME thing. If there's tricks that you can do, like if you know that the data is ordered by group and so on, to just get the data to get out of there as quick as possible so we don't have to wait. If you can give us that info, then you'll be happier.
Yeah, and somebody asked about Azure Event Grid. The good news is that yes, we support that as a trigger and also as an action. We can send data both ways. There is a knowledge base article on how to do that. You're given a URL endpoint in FME Server, and then you go to the Azure event, the Azure interface, and paste that webhook in there. and then the handshake is done automatically between Azure and FME Server, and away you go. And you can use that to listen for data, or any Azure event can be used to trigger a workspace. So yeah.
I see John is out there and he says he's crying tears of joy. So I'm not exactly sure what caused that, but I guess the team's...
yeah. And I don't know whether I should apologize or be happy.
Yes. Again, Howard, I think Howard has got the big GeoJSON file. I think if he can go Clippers first, he basically wants to clip out counties of the US, get those counties in the Clipper first, set it to Clippers first, and then you will be a much, much happier person, I think.
Yeah.
So somebody said this was fantastical. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, how does automations differ from creating a workflow with the FME job submitter or FME server job submitter, Don?
Well, one could argue you could do it in either, but the automations is built from the ground up just for triggering workspaces. So it's a much simpler interface, and you don't have to publish it. The thing about an FME server job submitter is it isn't a workspace, so you have to download it, edit it, and put it back. So we think that by building automations that operates at a completely different level, it just is a simpler interface, allows us to do things. Also, you'll notice that when you're running a workspace, you no longer have to worry about how to get the data from a message into a workspace. The framework just does that for you. So
yeah, we didn't actually show that there's parameters available that you can kind of, a little bit like in Workbench, where there's data flowing through along those streams as well.
Yeah, we could do a webinar just on automations, really, and all the pieces.
In fact, I think there is one. Is that the one in May?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yep. With
Yeah.
Don and Jen.
Don and Jen, you're doing it, Don.
That's awesome. I'm excited.
We also have that other webinar I'll chat out now on
Okay.
automations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was the worst kept secret automations webinar. We actually did a whole webinar on automations without kind of wanting to or knowing what we're doing about a month ago, right, Don?
Yeah. And of course, many features were missing, but it was still, even at that point in the early beta, it was still crazy useful. But in the last month, a lot of the building blocks have bubbled up to the user interface, so it's been great. Yeah.
So somebody asked, Don, can they upgrade straight from FME 2017 to 2019?
Yes, they can. They would just use the backup and restore. So they would back up their old server, install a new one, and then just simply restore, and away they go.
We try so hard that all old configurations, all workspaces from Workbench and server configurations can move forward in time. So
That's right.
Ray, it should be good to go. Give it a try, and it's a bug if it doesn't. Somebody else is a Ghostbusters fan, Don. Can you guess what they told us not to do?
Cross the streams.
Yeah, it's just wonderful to have a Ghostbusters reference. I actually heard there's a new Ghostbusters movie being made, which is going to go back to
the second one, like the one with I think, what was her, McCarthy, I think? I can't remember.
Yeah, this one is going to pretend that one didn't exist and go back to the original canon.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So anyway.
Somebody asked, when will we be able to edit workspaces in FME Server? Soon you'll be able to edit private parameters in FME Server, because that's one thing that is a bit of a pain. You have a workspace with private parameters. To change them, you have to download and upload. And then for 2020, we're looking at adding some ability for editing. But users, our goal is not to try to replace Workbench. Just think about all the things that Workbench is doing that are crazy, like run to here, run from there. And there's exciting things planned that I won't spoil for Workbench as you're authoring, to make it more of an interactive environment. So we're very much pouring lots of resources into Workbench, but we're also going to enable you to do some editing on FME Server. So you should be able to do basic things, add a transformer, a few things, and change parameters, things where it's actually a pain to download it and then upload it for changes like that. Also, we want to integrate the editing of workspaces with automations. We have some plans there to enable both of them to work together even more seamlessly.
Yeah. So somebody's asking, when are we actually going to release FME 2019? Sometime within the next 30 days. That's all I'm willing to say.
Yeah. That sounds great.
Because honestly, this is there's only about half the audience left on. I actually think that the buffer lost its group by.
Is that right? Huh.
That's a no ship.
Yeah. I bet you it's just
How
a GUI thing.
How could it? Anyway,
Yeah.
that makes me sad. So support folks that are listening in, please file an issue. I want the group by back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
And Martin here, he's obviously been playing with automations, and he wants regex functionality in the filtering and more functionality in the text editor.
Well, there we go. And
so he obviously snuck into our plant and is seeing what we're building and says, I'm excited about it, but I want more. And so that's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we actually know, the team has done an amazing job. We have many rounds of usability testing and so on, but we know from experience when we unleash automations on the crowd out there, you're going to come back to us with amazing new insights and ways of using this and enhancements we should make. And so I always like to quote Bryan Adams, Don, ain't funny how time flies when the best is yet to come.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
and I think, yeah, and I'm surprised nobody's asked about why don't we have output ports on external actions? And again, that's coming too. So, yeah. But I think that Bryan Adams quote, that's a great quote to end on, really, isn't it?
It would be. Yeah. It would be. So I think we'll probably stop there. If you've asked questions that we haven't answered, we'll be getting back to you in the next couple of days. I think that's probably all good. Well, somebody asked on it, do the notifications still work?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, automations has been a great way to stress test the whole notifications, because we built automations with, at least 500 actions, and then built it and ran it, and notifications in that case are just flying all over the place. So yeah.
Yeah. Many people excited to get the group by back, Don, on the buffer.
Yeah, I can see that. A few people looked horrified that it's gone.
Yeah. Imagine my surprise out of roughly 500. There's 500 transformers to choose, and I pick buffer, and it's gone.
Well, that's what you call being lucky, because now yeah. So.
Don, can you publish from desktop 2018 to server 2019?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
We recommend they're in the same. But you can't publish from 2019 to 2018. I mean, so many things have changed because you're probably using a transformer that has new parameters that won't run on old engines. You do get a warning if you're doing anything that potentially won't work. We do let you do it, but we give you a warning. And it's kind of like, well, if we give you a warning and it doesn't work, well, sorry about that, but yeah.
Yeah. Look at that. More people are asking for buffer improvements. I happen to know the team is working on buffer right now.
That's right. It's got a Slack message. Oh my goodness, we're working on buffer right now.
Actually, we're actually going to have the buffer produce proper arcs, Don, as the curves.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Which would reduce data volumes and be more mathematically pure, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we'll say that's it for today. And thanks, everybody. We'll get back to you. We'll look forward to seeing you all on the road. Stop by and say hi. Don and I are out there. I think we're each doing around 10 events this year, aren't we, Don?
Yeah, and that's not counting. Yeah, I guess that is. Well, yeah, about 10, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be out there. Looking forward to meeting all of you, coming back and telling the folks here about the ideas. And it's just so exciting working with all of you. It's been a wonderful ride for 25 years, and look forward to 25 more years. Thanks, everybody. And Don, have yourself one heck of a great flight.
Yep. And thanks, Dale. And I'll see you, I guess, in 2 days in Germany.
Yep. We never fly on the same plane.
That's right.
Okay. Take care, Don.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.
We won't end the webinar. We'll let some of this roll by a little bit, but goodbye.